So here it is, finally, my made from scratch custom 3D printed case for the media PC/server that I have at home. Before that I had this is another 3D printed case that I found on the internet and did small modifications, but I never really liked it because it didn't have enough space, it didn't have a place for a big 3.5-inch disc, so I made this one, modified it to have it on the top. But then still inside, I mean, I wanted more discs, which didn't really fit, and the cables, yeah, there was not a nice place how to have them because everything was just on top. And then in printing wise, this was a single print in one orientation, so it needed supports and it didn't end up looking that well, so I put this wrap, but you can see here obviously how bad this ended up looking. There was one thing, and this was super nice, this top mesh that I made, and yeah, I wanted to use this as a base for my new design. And this is the final result. It has exact dimensions that fit my components that I had in mind. So it has 2 discs at the bottom, which we'll see a bit later, and supports the SFX power supply and also an extra PCI Express card, which we'll also see. I designed for the bottom and the middle part the sliding mechanism. With this, the sides also get locked in, so it ends up being quite firm. And once both are added, it really makes firm structure for the whole case. Here on the side, this can be better seen, like how it slides, but that we'll see also later in the build. Then on the back, it supports the SFX power supply. It's quite light, small case, but I still wanted to have the supports at the end, at the back side and also on the side, so that it's really, yeah, there is no concerns, even though it sits on top of the CPU. And then the top part, that's the last bit, and this here I just used the magnets which I had for some years ago, and that we'll see also in the build later on. And recently bought Bamboo A1 printer and was super happy with this as well, because I mean, this just improved everything so much. It's so easy now to print something and see results in a short time. So I made the bottom, so this one had supports either for, well, 2 big discs that I use here, 3.5 inches, or it could support small ones if there is a need ever. So yeah, they're just mounted from the outside, which I really liked as an idea. I mean, because this is the bottom side that will never be visible. This is the final result, but I mean, this mesh, it really makes it look super cool, even though not needed here. Yeah, once we add the sides, I mean, on top comes the motherboard, and then everything will slide in the sides, which I designed, yeah, to be simple to put in without any screws, but then everything kind of locks in the place and becomes really firm once especially the back and top fronts are added, which are also slide in. We can see the sliding mechanism here. It's something I wanted because I wanted the sharp corners to be still, yeah, seen at the end, so then it needs just a bit angled designs here. And well, if you have a really good printer like I have, then you can really push this to the maximum, although I didn't do that in the end. I mean, even with this yeah, sliding mechanism, it's really firm. For my new design, I do plan to actually make it a standard 45-degree angle, because in the end I think it doesn't really matter. And just look at this fitting of the IO shield. That was from the first try, and that just doesn't happen every day. Now we are ready to mount the motherboard and everything that comes with it. Crucial piece for me was here this PCI Express hard disk adapter, because this enables to put like 3 different disks inside, so I don't need any extra SSDs mounted, which I could actually do on the sides or somewhere. While with this one, I just mount it where the GPU would go. I don't need a GPU, it's already in my yeah, my Intel integrated the CPU. And then here I just mount this with one screw that is obviously expected at this place. And while mounting the PSU, I realized that there was not actually enough space for it. I didn't leave the clearance, and also at the back there was not big enough holes, so a quick redesign, a reprint, this time in white, because that was the spool that was left on my printer at the time. And I thought, well, actually this might look quite cool with different colors. So here we mount it with screws as expected, and then we can just connect the motherboard, the PC, well, and everything that we need. I mean, it's very accessible from the front, so I left it like that, I mean, the front is slide in at the end once everything is connected. So here I left also some cutouts in the motherboard side. But now the best part of this print is for sure this one, and this is which I always wanted, is which you normally get as well. It's the front panel, right? You get some USB ports at the front, because before I only had the ones at the back, and then this just was hard to access when I needed it. It wasn't convenient. And I also wanted more space. Normally the front panels don't have a lot of space between two USBs, and I just wanted to add some extra spacing so they are not next to each other. Now here I mount the actual reset button, because sometimes people don't put the reset button. I don't see why not. I mean, it's an option, I want to have it, and it shows the activity of the hard disk. Next step is to mount USB ports in the dedicated holes. I made this to be tight. I like when it's super firm and with extra walls that you can also see this is really secure. At the back it's mounted with 2 screws as well, so if a USB is plugged, I know it won't be moving anywhere. And the last bit is obviously to connect the whole front panel of the options to the motherboard itself. And again, it's quite easy because it's just accessible before we slide in the front part. Now for the front part, I also just had that idea, I mean, to name it something. It was just one thing that popped to my mind. It was like Anboks, A in a box. Yeah, it wasn't really that much thinking going into it. But yeah, this one I printed from TPU. It had a bit of draft as well, so when it slides in, it like you push it into, and then it stays quite firm inside, and it looks cool. Front panel, then we just, well, slide in like everything. I didn't specifically show it, but yeah, it's actually quite a cool thing when you slide this. That's the only locking mechanism. And then the last bit is the top part, and this I thought first to make some snap fit design, but actually had this magnets that I wanted to use, and they actually give this nice feeling. Turning on, and it works from the first try. Nice. So yeah, it looks cool, it looks nice. I like these sharp sides. So I left everything as a box. It just looks super nice, I think. And because it's a mesh, right, there is more than enough ventilation going on. Obviously there could be a lot of dust, but I don't mind for the usage that they have here. It might be something that I'll take into account for the next one, because I was super happy to actually design this from scratch, do the whole iteration, and then I now can finally design one for my main PC, which is what I'll do in the next video. Well, the files for this one, I'll make them accessible as well. If anybody finds it interesting, why not? Hopefully there is some use of it in the future as well.